The Power of Discipline by Daniel Walter is a practical and thought-provoking book that explores one of the most essential traits required for personal success: self-discipline. Walter dives deep into the psychology behind discipline, uncovering the science of habits, focus, willpower, and delayed gratification. He argues that talent and intelligence alone are not enough to achieve success. Instead, it's the ability to take consistent action, even when motivation fades. Through relatable examples and actionable techniques, the book teaches how to master the mind, control impulses, and build a disciplined life that leads to long-term results. From breaking bad habits to building routines that foster growth, this book serves as a guide for anyone who wants to transform their life through the power of self-control. Welcome to Audiobook World, your go-to destination for powerful, inspiring, and life-changing audiobook summaries. This channel is dedicated to bringing you the wisdom of the world's most impactful books in a simple, engaging, and easy-to-understand format. Whether you're on a commute, taking a walk, or just relaxing at home, Audiobook World helps you grow mentally, emotionally, and professionally, one summary at a time. We believe that knowledge is power, and by making it accessible in audio form, we empower you to learn and evolve on the go. Our aim is to save your time while delivering the essence of books that can truly make a difference in your life. Chapter 1: Why Discipline is More Important Than Motivation. In this powerful opening chapter, Daniel Walter challenges one of the most common beliefs people hold, that motivation is the driving force behind success. He begins by painting a realistic picture of human behavior. How often do we set goals with great enthusiasm, only to abandon them a few days or weeks later when the excitement wears off? This, Walter says, is because we rely too much on motivation, a fleeting, unreliable emotion. Motivation feels great in the beginning. It gives us a boost, a sudden rush of energy. But like all emotions, it's unstable. Some days we wake up feeling inspired. Other days we feel tired, lazy, or distracted. That's when most people give up. They believe something's wrong with them, or they think their goal just isn't for them. But the problem isn't the goal. It's the overdependence on motivation. Discipline, as Walter explains, is the exact opposite. It's not about how you feel in the moment. It's about the commitment you've made to yourself. Discipline means showing up, putting in the work, and taking action, no matter your mood, no matter the circumstances. It's about doing what's necessary, especially when you don't want to. To drive the point home, Walter gives real-world examples from the lives of high achievers, Olympic athletes, best-selling authors, entrepreneurs, and elite performers. What do they all have in common? Not extraordinary motivation, but extraordinary discipline. They've built systems and habits that allow them to be consistent, even on the days they don't feel like it. They don't wait for inspiration. They act with intention. He also talks about the science behind habits and routines. When we build structure into our lives, discipline becomes automatic. It's not about willpower every single time. It's about reducing decision fatigue. For example, if you have a fixed morning routine, you don't have to waste mental energy deciding whether to work out or not. You just do it, because it's part of who you are. Walter emphasizes that discipline isn't something you're born with. It's a skill that can be trained, like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets, and the best part? Once you start building discipline in one area of life, like health or finances, it naturally spills over into others. The chapter ends with a clear message. If you want lasting success, stop waiting to feel motivated. Start creating systems. Start small if you have to, but start. Discipline is what transforms goals into achievements, dreams into reality. It's not glamorous and it's not always fun, but it works. And over time, it will make you unstoppable. Chapter 2: The Truth About Willpower. In this chapter, Daniel Walter dives into the misunderstood concept of willpower and how it plays a role in self-discipline. He begins by explaining that most people think willpower is an endless resource, that they can rely on it whenever they need to make a difficult decision or resist a temptation. But in reality, willpower is limited. Just like a muscle, it gets tired with use. The more decisions you make throughout the day, the more your willpower depletes. Walter introduces the concept of decision fatigue, a scientifically backed idea that explains why people often make poor choices later in the day. For example, after a long day of work and responsibilities, someone might skip their evening workout or eat unhealthy food, not because they're lazy but because their mental energy has been drained. This is where structure and routine become essential. By creating habits, you reduce the number of decisions you have to make, which helps conserve willpower for when it really matters. He also discusses how small, consistent changes are more effective than relying on bursts of willpower. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life overnight, focus on building tiny habits, like waking up 10 minutes earlier or reading 1 page a day. Over time, these small wins build momentum and reduce the pressure on your willpower. Walter stresses that the goal isn't to become someone who never struggles, but to design a life that doesn't require constant self-control. This means removing temptations, building routines, and setting up an environment that supports your goals. When you understand that willpower is limited, you stop blaming yourself for lack of discipline and start creating systems that work. The chapter ends with a strong takeaway. Don't rely on willpower alone. Respect it, protect it, and build a lifestyle that makes discipline easier. When you do that, success doesn't feel like a constant battle. It becomes a natural result of the systems you've put in place. Chapter 3. The Myth of Talent. In this chapter, Daniel Walter tackles another widely believed misconception, that talent is the most important factor in achieving success. He argues that society often glorifies natural ability and overlooks the hard work, consistency, and discipline that actually drive results. We look at successful people and assume they were born with a gift, when in reality, what sets them apart is their relentless commitment to growth and practice. Walter explains that believing in the talent myth can be dangerous. It makes people think that if they're not naturally good at something right away, they're not meant for it. This mindset leads to giving up early, avoiding challenges, and never discovering one's true potential. But discipline, not talent, is what turns average individuals into high performers. Skills can be developed, intelligence can grow, and abilities can be sharpened, if you're willing to put in the work. He gives examples from sports, music, business, and academics to show that even the most admired figures faced failure, rejection, and setbacks. What made them great wasn't talent. It was their discipline to keep going, to practice daily, and to push themselves beyond comfort. Walter also introduces the idea of a growth mindset, believing that abilities can be developed with effort and learning. This mindset fuels discipline because it shifts the focus from being naturally good to getting better over time. With this approach, challenges become opportunities, and failure becomes feedback. The chapter closes with a simple but powerful message. Talent might give you a head start, but discipline is what keeps you in the race. If you stop focusing on what you were born with and start working on what you can build, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Chapter 4. The Role of Habits in Discipline. In this chapter, Daniel Walter dives deep into the connection between habits and discipline. He explains that discipline isn't about forcing yourself to make tough choices every single day. It's about creating habits that make those choices automatic. When a behavior becomes a habit, it no longer requires much effort or willpower. It becomes a part of your routine, something you do without thinking. Walter highlights how most of our daily actions are actually driven by habit loops, cues, routines, and rewards. For example, waking up and brushing your teeth doesn't take motivation, it's a habit. The same principle can be applied to working out, studying, saving money, or avoiding distractions. The key is to design your environment and routines in a way that supports the habits you want to build. He shares strategies to build good habits and break bad ones. One effective method is habit stacking, linking a new habit with an existing one. For instance, if you already have a habit of drinking tea every morning, you can stack a short journaling session right after it. Over time, this becomes a routine you follow without resistance. Walter also emphasizes the importance of starting small. Big changes can feel overwhelming and lead to burnout. But small, consistent actions are sustainable and powerful. Doing 5 push-ups a day may seem insignificant, but it builds the identity of someone who exercises. Once the habit is in place, it becomes easier to expand. He warns against relying on motivation to build habits. Instead, focus on consistency. Even on days when you don't feel like doing it, show up and do the bare minimum. That's how habits are maintained and discipline is strengthened. By the end of this chapter, it's clear that if you want to master discipline, you must master your habits. They shape your actions, your mindset, and ultimately, your destiny. Build the right habits, and you build a disciplined life. Chapter 5. How to build self-discipline. In this chapter, Daniel Walter provides a practical, step-by-step approach to building self-discipline in everyday life. He begins by making it clear that self-discipline is not something you either have or don't have. It's a skill that can be developed by anyone, regardless of their background or personality. And just like any skill, it requires patience, practice, and persistence. Walter explains that the first step in building self-discipline is clarity. You must know exactly what you want and why you want it. Vague goals like, "I want to get in shape," or "I want to be more productive," don't provide direction. Instead, you need specific, measurable, and time-bound goals that give your efforts purpose and structure. When your why is strong, your discipline becomes stronger. Next, he emphasizes the power of planning. Discipline thrives in structure. Creating a daily or weekly plan helps you stay on track, avoid distractions, and manage your time effectively. Walter suggests breaking big goals into small, manageable tasks so that you don't feel overwhelmed. Success comes from consistently taking small steps in the right direction. Another important strategy he highlights is eliminating temptations. Discipline isn't about constantly resisting distractions. It's about designing your environment in a way that reduces them. If your phone distracts you during study time, keep it in another room. If junk food breaks your diet, don't keep it in your house. Make it easy to do the right thing and hard to do the wrong thing. Walter also encourages readers to embrace discomfort. Discipline often requires doing things you don't feel like doing. That's why most people avoid it. Walter gives real-life examples of entrepreneurs, athletes, and leaders who failed multiple times before reaching their goals. Their success didn't come from avoiding failure. It came from being disciplined enough to keep going despite it. Another important point he makes is about identity. People who identify themselves as disciplined or resilient are more likely to recover from failure quickly. They don't let temporary setbacks change how they see themselves. Instead, they trust the process, knowing that consistency and discipline will eventually lead to results. The chapter ends with a powerful message. You will fail. That's guaranteed. But what's not guaranteed is how you'll respond. Discipline is what turns failure into fuel. If you can stay committed through the tough times, failure won't break you, it will build you. And each time you rise after falling, you become stronger, wiser, and closer to success. Chapter 8. Discipline in your daily life. In this chapter, Daniel Walter shifts the focus from theory to real-life application. He shows how discipline isn't just for big goals or dramatic moments. It's something that should be woven into your everyday life. Whether it's how you start your morning, how you manage your time, or how you respond to distractions, daily discipline is what shapes your overall success. Walter begins by emphasizing the importance of morning routines. He explains that how you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. A disciplined morning, one where you wake up on time, avoid your phone, and do something purposeful like journaling, exercising, or reading, can create momentum and boost your focus for the rest of the day. On the other hand, starting your day in chaos leads to mental clutter and low productivity. He also highlights the power of planning your day ahead. Many people waste time deciding what to do next, getting overwhelmed by choices or distractions. But when you plan your day the night before, you take control. You start your day with intention, not confusion. Discipline means sticking to that plan, even when temptations or excuses show up. Walter discusses how to handle common daily challenges, like procrastination, social media, unhealthy eating, and fatigue. He points out that discipline doesn't mean being perfect, but it does mean being aware of your behavior and making conscious choices. If you're tired, take a break, but don't quit. If you're tempted to scroll endlessly, set time limits. It's about being mindful and making the better choice even when it's hard. He also talks about setting boundaries. Discipline involves saying no to things that don't serve your goals, whether it's unproductive tasks, negative people, or distractions. Protecting your time and energy is a form of self-respect, and it's a habit that must be practiced daily. The chapter ends by reinforcing a simple truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And those systems are built through daily discipline. Your routine, your environment, your habits, they all play a role. Small, disciplined actions each day may seem minor, but they compound into extraordinary results over time. Chapter 9. How to Stay Disciplined, Long Term. In this chapter, Daniel Walter addresses one of the biggest challenges people face. Not how to start with discipline, but how to stay disciplined over the long haul. He explains that discipline is not a one-time decision, it's a lifestyle, and maintaining it over months and years requires a different kind of strategy. Walter begins by discussing the importance of sustainable systems. Many people burn out because they start too fast, set unrealistic expectations, or try to change too much at once. But discipline isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about creating a system you can stick to even on tough days. This means being flexible, making adjustments, and building routines that support your energy levels, personality, and schedule. He also emphasizes the power of tracking progress. When you measure your effort and results, even in small ways, you stay motivated. Whether it's checking off daily tasks, logging workouts, or journaling your thoughts, tracking reminds you that your actions matter. It shows that progress is happening, even when it feels slow. Walter brings up the idea of accountability. When you share your goals with someone you trust, or even with a community, you're more likely to follow through. External accountability can provide motivation when internal discipline weakens. But more importantly, over time, you start becoming accountable to yourself. You begin to take pride in keeping promises to you. Another key point in the chapter is the need to renew your why. Over time, even the most disciplined person can feel stuck or tired. That's why it's crucial to regularly remind yourself why you started in the first place. Reconnecting with your purpose keeps your efforts meaningful and helps you push through boredom, setbacks, or plateaus. Walter also encourages building in recovery and reward. Discipline doesn't mean grinding endlessly. It includes rest. Scheduled breaks, time off, and small rewards keep you mentally and emotionally balanced. Burnout is real, and disciplined people learn how to pause without quitting. The chapter closes with a grounded truth. Long-term discipline doesn't come from perfection. It comes from resilience, adaptation, and recommitment. Some days will be hard, some weeks will be messy. But if you keep showing up, adjusting, learning, and staying focused, you'll build a discipline that lasts a lifetime. Chapter 10. The Discipline Mastery Connection. In this final chapter, Daniel Walter brings everything together by showing how discipline is the foundation of mastery in any area of life. Whether it's your career, relationships, health, or personal growth, if you want to achieve excellence, discipline is non-negotiable. Walter begins by debunking the myth of natural talent. He explains that while talent might give someone a head start, it's discipline that carries them to the finish line. The most successful people in the world aren't always the most gifted. They're the ones who commit to practice, improvement, and consistency, even when it's hard or boring. Mastery isn't about intensity, it's about longevity. He dives into the 10,000-hour rule, a concept made popular by Malcolm Gladwell, which suggests that it takes thousands of hours of focused effort to become world-class at anything. Walter connects this to discipline by saying, "You won't put in the hours unless you're disciplined. And without discipline, talent goes to waste." The chapter also explores deep work, the ability to focus without distraction for long periods. This kind of focus is where mastery is built, and it requires a high level of self-discipline. In a world full of notifications and instant gratification, the ability to block out noise and do meaningful work is a superpower. Walter encourages readers to embrace repetition. Mastery often means doing the same thing over and over, refining your process, getting a little better each time. This can be boring, but disciplined people find satisfaction in the process, not just the results. They understand that excellence is hidden in the details. He also reminds us that discipline protects mastery. Even once you've achieved a high level of success, staying there requires ongoing effort. Many people lose what they've built because they stop doing what got them there. Discipline ensures that you keep improving, keep learning, and keep showing up, long after the excitement fades. Discipline isn't just a tool to reach success, it is success. When you live with discipline, you gain control over your actions, your outcomes, and your life. And that control gives you the freedom to become the best version of yourself. Walter ends by encouraging readers to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start building discipline now. One small decision at a time, one habit at a time, one day at a time. That's how mastery is created. Discipline is the path. Mastery is the reward. As we come to the end of The Power of Discipline by Daniel Walter, one thing becomes crystal clear. Discipline isn't just a helpful habit, it's the foundation of every meaningful success. Walter didn't just give us theories or motivational quotes, he delivered a powerful roadmap for anyone who wants to rise above inconsistency, distraction, or self-doubt. He showed us that motivation may light the spark, but only discipline keeps the fire burning. From building daily habits and resisting temptations to bouncing back from failure and striving for mastery, this book reminds us that real growth happens not when it's easy, but when we show up anyway. Walter's message is timeless. You don't need to be born talented or constantly inspired. You need to be committed. Whether you're chasing a personal dream, improving your health, growing your business, or simply becoming more focused in daily life, the discipline you build today becomes the strength you rely on tomorrow. And the beauty is, this power lies within all of us. It's not something you're given. It's something you build, moment by moment, choice by choice. And now, from all of us at Audiobook World, thank you for being part of this journey. Our mission is to bring powerful books like this into your life through simple, relatable storytelling, so that you don't just hear words, but feel them. We believe that books have the power to change your mindset, and a changed mindset can change your entire life. Whether you're walking, working, or winding down, we're honored to be in your ears, helping you grow, one audiobook at a time. If this summary inspired you, we invite you to explore more life-changing audiobooks right here on Audiobook World. Because this isn't just a channel, it's your personal growth partner. Keep listening, keep learning, and above all, keep showing up with discipline. The best version of you is waiting.